Hello, this is Dr. Wells with Wells Medicine, and as promised in my last video, I wanted to discuss each of the sort of 5 reasons why holidays can be sort of a difficult season of the year, my 5 reasons anyway, and give each of them kind of its due in its own video. And so I'm starting off with sort of why holidays can really fail in our expectations and make us feel so bad for not aligning with sort of cultural expectations around the holidays. I've had so many patients who just felt like they weren't meeting that Instagrammable holiday with the perfect cookie making experience with their kids and the perfectly decorated house and the volunteering at their kids' school during the holiday season and everyone wearing matching pajamas on that morning and the holiday Christmas cards being sent out at the appropriate time with matching outfits and, showing up at the perfect holiday parties with the perfect gifts and having the perfect gifts for all of their relatives and sort of, having the perfect holiday meals with everyone getting along and, having the perfect vacations and it just seems like there's so much striving for perfection that we're really sold and marketed to by not only the companies selling these things and creating this ideal of, a holiday experience, but also the filtered Instagrams and social media posts and, here's how to bake these incredibly difficult recipes for the holidays. And this is the trend for the holiday Christmas table. And this is the place settings that you need to have. And there's just all of this expectations that falls around the holidays for, what it should look like. And I'll often tell patients, please don't should all over your lives because it's our disconnect between how holidays are in reality and this idea of what they should be that can cause so much grasping and so much feelings of scarcity and feelings of not being enough and not being good enough and not living up to our standards. And then that creates these feelings of angst and pressure and that even, a nice dinner isn't the dinner and it's not special enough and it's not what we wanted and what we hope, and getting through a family dinner that didn't have deep, meaningful conversation, that just isn't enough. And it's so difficult to make it through the holiday season without these feelings of worthlessness or comparison. And they can be, comparisons within our family of how things were when we were younger, because we tend to look back with such a rosy glow on maybe our parents did things right, or our brother and sister-in-law do things so right, or, our friends' families do things so amazingly. It doesn't necessarily need to be that one social media influencer, but it's just so much comparison. And I really wanted to invite people to think about not only how to just survive through the holiday season, but also go back to our own values of what are important to us. So if, again, your values are lifelong learning or their faith or their relationships, really focusing on those values instead of the external values of the things or the clothes or the experiences or the perfect food or the perfect conversation, and really focusing on back to what is really meaningful, what is core to us around the holiday times. I know one of my very favorite Thanksgivings ever was actually the Thanksgiving where my 2 children at the time had the flu. And this is probably a horrible kind of maternal thing to say, but I loved that they were sick and so needy and cuddly, and we just sat around and watched movies all Thanksgiving, and nobody expected me to cook, and nobody expected me to bring my 2 perfectly dressed, perfectly behaved children over to their house for the holiday. And I didn't have to go to any holiday parties. And I didn't have to create this holiday. And we just sat around and Honestly, I don't think social media would have said it was a great holiday. And, I think my family felt kind of sorry for me that we were all laid up with the flu, but I loved it. And I look back on that with such great memories of really having a great holiday. Um, I wouldn't want all my holidays to have the flu, but it's it's one that because of how different it was, um, it it's something that I look back on with real special fondness. I was disappointed myself that kind of our holiday plans got canceled. But surprisingly, I just think it was one of the best holidays ever. So sometimes even having funny, less than perfect memories can be better memories than trying to create that, perfect holiday memory as well. So, um, one of the things that I think our office helps people with when it comes to that sort of FOMO, fear of not being enough is that ketamine can sometimes help to detangle deeply rooted traumas around performance, around self-worth, around being enough and scarcity mindset. And that can be really helpful this time of year as well. I just want to encourage people to shift their perspective away from perfection and back to values and, surviving the holiday even and having goals that really reflect growth and, enjoyment, peace and contentment rather than perfection. So I talk a lot about progress than perfection. But peace and contentment rather than perfection. In the next video, we'll talk about a little bit about how holidays can make you miserable in a different way. And I hope you'll find that one enjoyable as well.